The yellow lines on the mountain road blurred into streaks as my tires screamed against the asphalt. The steering wheel dug into my palms, my knuckles stiff and white from the pressure I was putting into it. I had the phone jammed between my shoulder and ear, Eric's voice cutting in and out over the speaker, like the signal itself was trembling under the weight of what he'd done to me. The night air ripped through the half-open window, carrying the bitter smell of pine and damp stone. My chest rose and fell too fast, every breath shallow and ragged, the way it gets when the body can't decide if it wants to cry or scream. My heart pounded, not from the speed of the car, but from the fire burning inside me, the betrayal that had detonated my entire life barely an hour ago. You slept with her? My best friend, Eric, my best friend. My voice cracked into something feral, an ugly sound that was part sob and part accusation. The tears blurred my vision, but I refused to blink them away, refused to give him even that much. His voice came back through the phone, rushed, stumbling over itself. Tanya, please, it wasn't like that. We were drunk. It was a mistake. You don't understand. The words made my stomach turn. Don't I? I snapped, wrenching the wheel as I rounded a sharp curve. Loose gravel scattered beneath the tires, and the car leaned dangerously close to the guardrail. I barely noticed. I found the texts. I found the pictures. Don't tell me I don't understand. You went behind my back with the one person I trusted more than anyone in this world. There was a sound of him sucking in air, like he was trying to form an excuse, his breathing jagged and broken. I didn't mean for it to happen. She came onto me. Tanya, I swear to God, I didn't. Stop lying. My throat seared as the words ripped out of me. I could feel the vibration in my chest. Tears streaked hot down my cheeks, warping the glow of the headlights that cut across the fog-draped road. I swiped at my face with one hand and nearly lost control as the wheel jerked violently under the other. You don't get to act like the victim. You destroyed us. You destroyed me. The engine growled as I slammed the gas harder. Car roared into another bend, where mist clung like fingers, smothering everything below. Tall pines loomed like shadows of giants, their tops swallowed by the clouds that had settled low over the mountains. Every nerve in my body screamed. The betrayal wasn't just in my mind. It was in my bones, thrumming through my blood, louder than the tires humming on pavement. I love you. Eric's voice cracked. It was small, fragile, as if he were a child begging not to be abandoned. I love you, Tanya. I made a mistake, but we can fix this. Please don't drive away. Don't leave me. I laughed then, sharp and broken, the sound cutting me as much as it cut him. Love? You call that love? Screwing my best friend while I'm planning our wedding? You don't love anyone but yourself. The silence that followed was heavier than any words he could have spoken. I could feel him struggling to breathe on the other end, but it didn't matter anymore. My grip on the wheel tightened until my hands ached. I was barely seeing the road, the blur of tears and headlights melting into something surreal. I tried to breathe. I tried to blink, but my chest felt crushed under the weight of it all. The road twisted down the mountain, hugging the cliff face. The guardrails shone dull in my high beams. My hands trembled against the wheel. That was when it happened. Something shot out from the trees and into my lane. It moved so fast my mind couldn't process it. Pale fur, eyes that gleamed yellow. For the briefest second, it looked too large for a deer, too strange for a coyote. A nightmare thing tearing out of the dark. I screamed and jerked the wheel without thinking. The tires shrieked. Car fishtailed, the back end slamming into the guardrail with a metallic screech. For an instant, I thought it would hold. But then the momentum carried me, and the rail crumpled. The world vanished. The car pitched into nothing, falling into blackness. Tanya, Eric's voice shredded into my ear, panicked, shrill, but it was already drowned out by the storm of destruction. The world turned violent. Branches burst through the windshield, exploding glass into my face. Metal screamed as the car rolled, the mountainside battering it over and over. The seatbelt bit into my chest, each impact crushing me into it until I felt something inside me give. My body whipped helplessly, slammed against the door, the wheel, the seat. Dirt, bark, shards of headlight and mirror swirled inside the cabin. My head snapped against the window, white pain flashing like lightning. I tried to cry out, but the air was punched from my lungs as the car slammed down again, rolled, then collided with something massive. A tree. The hood folded in with a guttural crunch that shook the entire frame. Steam hissed from the radiator. The smell of gasoline hit my nose. Then it was quiet. I hung limp against the seatbelt, tilted sideways, every bone in my body screaming. Warm blood trickled down my temple and into my ear. My phone was still against my face, Eric's voice faint and desperate, like it was leaking into my skull instead of coming from the speaker. "Tanya, are you okay? Say something, please." My lips parted, but no sound came. My eyelids felt like lead curtains. They dropped, heavy and final. Eric's sobs carried into the dark. "Stay with me. I'm calling 911. Just hold on." But I slipped away, swallowed by the black, my car a broken shell at the bottom of the cliff. The forest pressed in around me, silent, watching. Except for something else, something alive, something waiting between the trees. When I came back to myself, it felt like I'd been dragged from the bottom of a deep black ocean. My head pulsed with pain so sharp it felt alive, each beat pounding behind my eyes. My tongue was dry, coated with the metallic taste of blood. At first, I didn't even know where I was. The world was sideways, tilted, and my breath rattled shallow in my chest. It took me a moment to realize I was still in the car. The seatbelt cut into my shoulder, holding me in place like a strap in some cruel harness. The windshield was spiderwebbed with cracks and dirt pressed against the glass, like the forest itself was trying to climb inside. I tried to move, but pain ripped through my ribs so sudden it knocked a sob out of me. My left arm felt heavy, useless, pinned awkwardly against the console. Every nerve screamed when I shifted it. My legs worked, but only barely. My right knee throbbed with heat, swollen tight. I sucked in air, through clenched teeth, forcing myself not to panic. The phone was gone. I searched the floorboard with my hand, but felt only shattered glass and a pool of liquid. Gasoline. The sharp stink burned the inside of my nose. The engine clicked softly as it cooled, the sound hollow in the silence. That was what made me realize something was wrong. There were no sirens, no voices calling my name. No Eric pleading in my ear anymore. Just the stillness of the forest, thick and heavy, broken only by the hiss of the radiator and the occasional groan of the frame settling. I told myself help had to be on the way. Eric had called 911. They'd track the signal. They'd find me. I just had to stay awake, keep breathing, stay calm. But then I heard it. A sound that didn't belong came from the tree line above the wreck, faint at first, like weight shifting against bark. A branch creaked, followed by the quick snap of another. I froze, breath caught in my throat, ears straining. "Hello," my voice was broken, barely a whisper, but even saying it made me feel stupid. Who would answer me? The forest didn't respond. It just breathed, deep and patient. Then something moved. I saw it in the reflection on the broken side mirror first, a flicker of motion between the trunks. A shadow sliding from one tree to another, so quick my eyes almost didn't catch it. My pulse spiked. I blinked, trying to clear the blood that kept leaking into my eye. For a moment, nothing. Just pines standing silent in the fog. Then another flicker, darker this time, and then gone again. I told myself it was rescue workers, maybe someone searching for me with a flashlight. But there was no beam of light, no calling voice, no human shape. Just something big, moving fast in the woods, circling. A sharp knock echoed against the roof of the car. I flinched so hard pain shot down my side. My breath came shallow, ragged. "Hello?" I said again, weaker this time. No answer. Another sound came, closer now. It was like claws dragging against bark, deliberate and slow. My stomach twisted. I knew instantly it wasn't a rescuer. Something was watching me. I turned my head toward the shattered driver's window. Through the jagged hole where glass used to be, I swore I saw a shape leaning around a tree. Long fingers curled into bark, the hands stretched wrong, too big, too sharp. The nails glinted wet in the moonlight. Then it snapped back out of sight before I could focus on it. My heart hammered so violently it felt like it was trying to break free from my chest. I blinked fast, willing myself to wake up from this nightmare, but the shape returned. Another tree, another angle. A tall body slid between the trunks, silent but impossibly fast. I pressed back into the seat, blood running sticky down the side of my face. My hands trembled against the wheel. "Stay away," I whispered, though it came out more like a prayer than a command. The air outside the car shifted. The forest seemed to lean in around me. Something heavy padded through the brush, circling closer, and then I heard it. A growl. Low at first, like a rolling engine. Then higher, sharper, a snarl that snapped through the silence and dug into my bones. My throat closed. I couldn't breathe. Branches swayed just outside my shattered window. My eyes darted, trying to track movement, but whatever it was kept slipping out of sight. The growl came again, this time directly behind me. I twisted, pain searing through my ribs, and caught the briefest glimpse of a muzzle sliding back into the shadows. I wanted to scream for help, but something in me knew it would only draw it closer. I stayed still, lips trembling, breath ragged. Minutes passed, maybe longer. The torment was steady, like it was playing with me. A clawed hand wrapping around a trunk, holding for a second before vanishing. A shape rushing from one side of the wreck to the other so fast my eyes couldn't follow. Every time I thought it was gone, it returned. I pressed my forehead against the wheel, whispering to myself, "It's not real. It's not real. You hit your head, you're hallucinating. It's just shock." But then it stepped closer. The forest seemed to fold around it as it moved into the clearing. My stomach flipped when I realized how big it was. Taller than any man, shoulders broad, body covered in thick, dark fur. The eyes glowed faint yellow, reflecting the moonlight. Its head was wrong, too long, too sharp, with ears that twitched at every sound. The DOGMAN. I didn't want to believe it, but there it was. It crouched near the edge of the wreck, studying me through the broken glass. Its breath steamed in the cool air, slow and deliberate. The claws on its hands flexed against the dirt, long enough to carve me apart without effort. Then it leaned forward, pressing its face to the shattered window. Its eyes locked on mine with cruel, deliberate intelligence. My breath caught in my throat. The tip of its muzzle slid into the car, teeth glinting wet in the dark. My entire body froze, too weak to fight, too terrified to even scream. It tilted its head, staring at me like it was weighing my worth. Then its tongue, long and rough, slid across my temple, lapping the blood that dripped from the wound in my head. The heat of it sent ice down my spine. It pulled back slightly, lips peeling to reveal rows of jagged teeth. The growl rumbled low in its chest, building into something savage. I knew it was going to kill me. I could feel the moment stretching, a cruel game. It was about to end. Then the forest erupted. Something massive barreled from the tree line, slamming into the dogman with such force the entire car rocked. A roar shook the clearing, deeper and angrier than anything I'd ever heard. The dogman snarled, twisting violently as it was tackled away from the wreck. The two creatures crashed into the dirt in a whirlwind of fur and claws. I pressed against the seat, eyes wide, as the impossible unfolded in front of me. A Bigfoot. Towering, broad, muscles coiled under its thick brown hair, eyes burning with something primal. It didn't hesitate, didn't falter. It drove into the dogman with both arms, pinning it back before teeth and claws raked across its chest. The dogman howled, snapping its jaws inches from the Bigfoot's face. Their roars echoed off the mountainside, a chorus of violence so close I could feel it shaking through the wreck of my car. I was trapped, bleeding, broken, and all I could do was watch as two monsters tore into each other in the clearing below. The forest shook with violence. I couldn't move, couldn't look away, as the dogman and Bigfoot slammed into each other just feet from my wrecked car. Their roars ripped through the night like thunder. Every impact cracked branches, tore up dirt, sent shockwaves through the ground. My breath came in shallow bursts, ribs aching, but the pain barely mattered compared to what I was seeing. Dogman twisted free, claws flashing in the moonlight. It raked them across Bigfoot's chest, tearing hair and skin, the sound wet and sickening. Bigfoot bellowed in rage, grabbing the creature by the throat and slamming it into the ground so hard the earth shook beneath the wreck. The dogman didn't stay down. It kicked out with its powerful legs, claws gouging into Bigfoot's thigh. Bigfoot staggered, and in that moment the dogman lunged, snapping its teeth against Bigfoot's shoulder, ripping flesh. Blood sprayed dark against the dirt. The dogman's growl turned triumphant, feral, as it shook its head like a wolf worrying prey. But Bigfoot roared back, a sound so deep and resonant it made the air vibrate. With raw strength, Bigfoot pried the dogman off and swung it sideways into a tree. The trunk splintered with a deafening crack, showering the ground in shards of bark. My eyes darted wildly, trying to follow the chaos. The dogman was faster, darting around Bigfoot with animal agility, slashing, lunging, forcing the larger creature to stay on defense. But Bigfoot had power. Every swing of its massive arms was like a battering ram, and when it connected, the dogman stumbled. I sat frozen, blood drying sticky on my face, breathing shallow, watching as two nightmares fought for dominance right outside my shattered window. The dogman leapt onto Bigfoot's back, claws digging into its shoulders, teeth tearing at its neck. Bigfoot roared in agony, staggering forward. I thought for a second the dogman had won. Then Bigfoot reached back, grabbed a fistful of fur and flesh, and ripped the dogman off, slamming it into the ground. The dogman writhed, snapping and clawing. Bigfoot pinned it with a knee to its chest, hammering fists down again and again. Each blow shook the ground, each impact crunching bone. The dogman snarled, snapping at Bigfoot's arm, but the strikes kept coming, relentless, primal, furious. Blood slicked the ground. My stomach turned, but I couldn't tear my gaze away. The dogman lashed out with one last desperate swipe, claws slicing deep into Bigfoot's side. Bigfoot staggered, growling, but didn't fall. It wrapped both massive hands around the dogman's head. The dogman howled, thrashing, but Bigfoot tightened its grip, muscles bulging, until the howl cracked into a strangled whine. Then there was a sickening snap. The dogman went limp. Bigfoot held its head a moment longer, breathing hard, its chest heaving, before letting the body fall heavily to the ground. Silence rippled through the clearing, the kind of silence that felt holy, sacred, like the world itself was stunned into stillness. I pressed my trembling hands against the steering wheel, heart pounding, eyes locked on the impossible sight before me. Bigfoot stood over the dogman's body, chest rising and falling in ragged breaths, blood dripping from its wounds. Its head turned slowly toward me. For a moment, those dark, intelligent eyes met mine. I froze, unable to move, barely able to breathe. It didn't snarl. It didn't bare its teeth. It just stared, long and deep, as if making sure I understood. Then it stepped closer to the wreck. My whole body tensed. I thought it was coming for me. Instead, it crouched near the hood of the car, placing one massive hand on the metal. The weight of it made the frame groan. For a moment, it just stayed there, like it was grounding me, like it was letting me know I wasn't alone. My chest tightened. Tears filled my eyes. I wanted to say something, thank it, beg it not to leave me. But no words came. The sound of sirens broke the silence. Distant at first, but growing closer. A flicker of red and blue lights danced faintly through the trees far above the cliff. Bigfoot turned its head, listening. It didn't wait. With one last glance at me, it grabbed the dogman's limp body by the leg. The weight looked massive, but Bigfoot dragged it effortlessly, pulling it across the dirt and back into the forest. Branches swayed and cracked as it disappeared into the trees, the body trailing behind it. Within seconds, both of them were gone, swallowed by the darkness. I sat there shaking, staring at the space where they'd been. My body felt weightless, my mind spinning. I'd just seen something no one would believe. A nightmare and a guardian, both in the same night. The sirens grew louder. Voices shouted above. Lights flashed against the trees. Searchers calling down. Ropes dropped from the ridge as rescuers began their descent. When they reached me, breaking open the mangled door, I didn't say a word about what I'd seen. I let them lift me out, strapping me to a board, voices firm but kind as they asked if I could hear them. I nodded, answered the questions I had to, but the truth stayed locked inside me. They'd never believe me. How could they? As they carried me up the mountain, the flashing lights blinding against the dark forest, I kept my eyes on the tree line. I swore I felt something watching, making sure I was safe until I was out of reach. When I finally saw Eric at the hospital, frantic, face pale with fear, I didn't feel anything. No relief, no love, no forgiveness. Just emptiness. The image of him with my best friend was burned into me, and nothing could erase it. I left him. I left her too. What I carried with me wasn't just betrayal anymore. It was something bigger, something I couldn't name. I'd been broken, betrayed, and nearly killed, but I'd also been spared. Not by luck, not by chance, by something older, stronger, and far more terrifying than I could ever understand. And I'd never tell a soul. If you enjoyed this video, please don't forget to like and subscribe to Descent into the Unknown for more horror content. If you have any real cryptid encounters, or you're a horror writer wanting to share your stories, please feel free to email me in the description anytime.